I have dedicated my professional career to the study and control of arthropods.
Hello, I am gonna talk about my skull collection. I have several of you out have requested that I do a video on my skulls. You see they're missing behind me because they're all laid out around me here. So I'm gonna start with the primates, just because they're handy. This is gonna be several parts, probably not the primates. I'm gonna try to do in one take. So I'm going to start with this. This actually isn't a primate. It used to be classified as a primitive primate. This is a Scandetiate. It's called the tree shrew tupaya. This here is a replica. It's not a real one. But what's really awesome about these, and you can't see it necessarily, but if you look at some close-ups of tupaya skulls, they, like primitive primates, both extant and extinct, have two pairs of grooming incisors on their lower jaw. We see that in the most primitive or oldest known primate, which is Purgatorius from the Cretaceous era. Hell's Creek Formation also had those four pairs of grooming incisors, which is kind of cool. And again, this is here is another replica. Bone clone replica. This is a ruffed lemur. So this is a prosimian, and again, those if it shows up, you see these four pairs of grooming incisors, which were retained. Seem to be a feature of the stem group from which primates and some related forms were derived from. So it was inherited by primitive primates. So this is a ruffed lemur. Now, moving on up. I'm going to go, this is funny, I'm going to tell a little story here real quick. I don't want to run out of time. This is take 2 of this skull talk. Anyway, this is a white-faced capuchin, a New World monkey, platyrrhinid. This is a this is a real skull. It's not a replica. I actually bought this years ago down in Central America. I was back when I was probably 16, 17 years old. I was traveling down there working as a research assistant volunteer, and we went into this a homeless man in a park, and he walked up and asked, would any of you like to buy a monkey skull? And it was like, wow, just so happens of all the people traveling around Central America at that time, I happened to collect primate skulls. Or had at least had an interest in collecting primate skulls. So I bought it for like $1 from him. Anyway, thought that was kind of cool. The next one here is a Cercopithecoid. This here is a rhesus monkey. This is another real, not a replica, it's an actual skull. This is a friend of mine bought this in the Philippines for me. It came as a sort of a tourist thing, was decorated with a bunch of crap. And I took that off because it looks stupid. But I like the skull. And I have here, set this down, this is a replica. This is a baboon. What's the company called here? Accoutrements. I don't know. But anyway, this is it's a fairly well done plastic replica. I'd like to get a real baboon sometime, but this is what I have right now. Okay, now we are going to move into the hominoids. I'm going to start with the primitive hominoids, the Pongidae. This is a Sumatran orangutan. I bought this from Ward's Biological. I'm not a big fan of the replicas, but this is the only extant pongid. Since prior, if you're familiar, prior classification had the great apes all together in the family Pongidae. Current classification puts the orangutan and then the extinct Civipithecines like Gigantopithecus, Civipithecus, what was formerly known as Ramapithecus, and the Pongo pygmaeus, the orangutan, are all the Pongidae, as opposed to the hominidae, which includes the great ape, the African great apes, and humans. So anyway, this is a Sumatran orangutan. I'll set this down. Okay, Now, this is a great replica. I like this one. This is a hominid. This is a mountain gorilla, a male mountain gorilla skull. Just such a huge, hyper robust. It's just fantastic. This is done by a company called Scandetiates. They do these gypsum cement replicas, which do a great job. They look very much like real bone. The only flaw with them is they're really fragile and they tend to chip and flake off when they have to be, they're very hard, and they're also quite heavy. But anyway, it's an awesome replica of a mountain gorilla. Okay, next hominid. This is a common chimpanzee, Pan troglodytes. In my opinion, again, should be Homo troglodytes. Although anyway, I'm not going to get into the taxonomy here, but I'm not a big believer in the number of genera of that vertebrate taxonomists like to erect. It's my opinion. From an invertebrate taxonomy standpoint, they go a little over the top. But anyway, this is a common chimpanzee. Again, this is another skullduggery replica. It's really just a nice replica here. I like how they do their stuff. Okay, now what do I have? Oh, I've got the extinct hominids. I only have a couple. I'd like to get more. I've shown this one before. This is Australopithecus afarensis, which is Lucy. I did a couple of different videos on Lucy. But this is afarensis. This is another skullduggery replica. This is based on the composite that Tim White put together. Anyway, what I like about them is that it looks very much like the chimpanzee. I'd show them side by side, but I'd probably break one. But what's really cool about them is that unlike a chimpanzee, and against all arguments, if you look at the base of the skull where the spinal cord enters, it goes straight up. These were obligate bipeds. These were not. They might have been just a chimpanzee, but they were just a chimpanzee that walked like we do, or very similar to us. Okay, I'm gonna get short in time here. This is a sculpture. This is not a cast. But this is based on 1470, which it used to be Homo habilis. I think they're calling that Homo ergaster, or Rudolfensis. I'm sorry, not ergaster. Wow, it's hard to keep up on the names, in my opinion, not specializing in it. But anyway, this is a sort of the earliest representative of our genus, or one of the earliest representatives of the modern human genus. It's kind of neat. And here is the Asian variety of Homo erectus. This is a cast based on the specimens from China, called Peking Man, Homo erectus. It's a very nicely done replica. And finally, this is not a replica. This is a real skull. I purchased this from a company in New York called Maxilla and Mandible. This is a modern human skull. You've probably seen this guy sitting up there. I believe, if I recall, I have the card that came with it, but I think this is from India or Pakistan, back when they were importing these. Anyway, so I'm going to stop now, and I will take it up in part 2, where I will start going through my other vertebrate skulls. So please stay tuned.